Attendees and sponsors of the eScrap and Reuse Conference, greetings to you. Hello, my name is David Daoud, and I am the President and Principal Analyst at advisory and research firm Compliance Standards LLC. Now, earlier this year, eScrap News and my company partnered to launch a brand new research initiative aimed at tracking the state of the IT asset disposition sector to the benefit of eScrap News readers, to our clients, and to your own benefit. Over the past 6 months, we have learned quite a bit, and so let me just give you a general lay of the land as we are reaching the midpoint of the second half of 2023 and nearing the end of the third quarter. Now, for those of you who are ITAD vendors or supply equipment and services into that sector, it's obviously no surprise that the first half of 2023 was a dismal period. It was challenging for those of you who experienced dropping prices for IT devices moving into the secondary market, a market, by the way, that accounts for some 40% of the average ITAD company's revenue base in the United States, according to our latest survey. The market was also tough for commodity traders, for traders of parts and components, and for ITAD companies that rely on premium services offered to enterprise clients. Those price drops naturally happened because demand fell amid concerns about the broad economy. Other key factors that resulted in this difficult environment include increased wage and labor pressure, drop in profitability amidst a decrease in asset resale value, as I mentioned earlier, inflationary pressures resulting in rising costs, and obviously general economic uncertainty. We also believe, as many of you confirmed, that the weak first half of this year could also be attributed to a rubber band effect from a stronger than normal period that took place in the post-pandemic 2022. There are also mentions of an imbalanced global supply-demand environment resulting largely from China restricting market access, affecting greatly folks in the commodity space, and some mentions of the Middle East being, quote unquote, flooded with excess material, as one of you told us. In the second quarter of this year, the situation didn't improve. In fact, it got worse, with factors such as continued extremely low prices in the secondary market and tightening margins inhibiting the sector, preventing it from recovering. Industry executives also reported that layoffs and the wait-and-see attitude among some of their customers greatly contributed to the depressed state experienced by the sector. In the enterprise, IT refreshes have been subdued. We know that IT departments have received marching orders to concentrate their efforts on mission-critical projects. These projects include solidifying cybersecurity, beefing up the company's digital presence and e-commerce, and that meant essentially ensuring that investments in data centers and the cloud are set as priorities. There is certainly an added focus on emerging cutting-edge technologies, such as artificial intelligence, and so many of the standard IT projects that we've known for decades have seen slow implementation as IT budgets remain tight. In this context, ITAD is one of those functions that can wait in the minds of decision makers in the enterprise. In fact, in our latest survey, 79% of you told us that your clients either kept their IT refresh initiative stagnant on the year-over-year basis, or even decreased their commitment there. Only 20% saw some traction. The situation is bound to have a significant impact on the ITAD sector. How so? Well, in the first half, lack of refresh was clearly an inhibitor to ITAD activity, but in the long run, one should expect an opposite phenomenon to take place. So all in all, as you can conclude, the demand picture has been rather ugly so far this year. That was the perfect storm, so to speak, for the ITAD sector. Yet most of you remain optimistic. That's the right sentiment that's reflected in the fact that in the first quarter this year, nearly 26% of you managed to commit fresh capital investments, albeit at a low level, as a cautionary posture in a down market. In the second quarter, more of you engaged in capital investment as reported by 37 of the companies participating in our survey. Now, this is good news because there is willingness by many of you to both up your productivity and strengthen your competitiveness amid a difficult demand side. And even if the reported average capital investment was actually less than $500,000. On the employment front, layoffs in the second quarter of 2023 affected only 5.3% of you. But here's the good news. 37% of you added more staff compared to the year-ago quarter, and a solid 58% refrained from either adding or reducing staff. This is even though 42% of you experienced a drop in revenues on the year-over-year basis, and those reporting flat revenue accounted for almost 16%. In other words, 58% of you experienced either no growth or negative growth on the revenue side. Despite these shortcomings, most of you maintained your staff and some even added. The situation indicates that the ITADs are indeed anticipating increased activity in the second half of this year, thus refraining from making deep staffing cuts that could affect their operations in an up market. Naturally, there is a subset of the industry that remains pessimistic as to what the rest of 2023 holds. They continue to see no urgent incentives for enterprise clients to upgrade their hardware. This is in addition to lingering concerns over the fundamentals in the economy, concerns that are also magnified by the fact that this is a tense election season. And so where is the good news in our survey, you may ask? Well, even as the second quarter may have been worse than Q1, most executives remain optimistic as they are anticipating better conditions taking place in the second half of this year. As the third quarter is progressing and reaching its end, many of you are already seeing an uptick among clients resuming purchases and activities. On the resale front, some industry players are seeing an easing in market volatility, anticipating a return to normal pre-pandemic levels. Practically, though, companies are betting that their ongoing cost reduction measures that many of you are undertaking in terms of reducing redundancies, restructuring staff, reconfiguring facilities, and other cost containment measures will make you ready to tackle the second half of 2023. Now, from our perspective, we urge clients to be both cautious and also prepared for whatever comes in the rest of this year. Although inflationary pressures have dropped and enterprise users are beginning to engage in refreshes and renewals, opening up more opportunities for the disposition function, there are still many end-user companies that are reluctant to consider spending beyond what they consider as mission-critical areas. Various data sets suggest that there is a strong likelihood that we will not face a recession this year as many feared. This is something that the ITAD industry and the broad market seem to endorse, and so you see a good percentage of ITAD companies planning capital investments, expansion, and even some of you, between 18 and 25%, are preparing to engage in M&A activity. So our recommendation number one is for ITAD managers to have your plans set and ready to execute regardless of where the winds take you. Don't be caught by surprise if demand for ITAD activities surge. Yet you should remain careful not to jump without checking the status of your existing clients' intentions and projects. Make sure that what government data, the media, and analysts like us, including us, say is mirrored by your clients' both opinions and action. Only when you triangulate all the information you have that you can confirm a trend and then execute accordingly. And meanwhile, you must certainly sustain the permanent pursuit of cost controls by removing redundancies, reducing unnecessary spending, and put in place common sense controls. I believe that analyzing your spending patterns must be a permanent function in your business. Among the ways to ensure you remain knowledgeable and you know what's going on is by taking part in our survey. Not only it's free, but we guarantee confidentiality. And we share the results with you so as to keep you informed of the state of your industry. Make sure you add your email address to our research website, cscorex.com, and that's spelled cscorex.com. Again, cscorex.com. For now, please enjoy your conference and the networking opportunities it brings. Until we meet again, thank you and goodbye.